Adar dies in the Season 2 finale of The Rings of Power, and the Amazon series teases his demise in the opening sequence of the second installment. The second season of The Rings of Power begins with a flashback to the demise of Morgoth, illustrating how Adar slew him, and how Sauron attempted to usurp his master's position in Middle-earth. Given that Adar informs Galadriel that he killed the Dark Lord in The Rings of Power Season 1, it should come as no surprise when he stabs Sauron. Naturally, Sauron comes back to life. In Season 1 he makes a reappearance as Halbrand, then in Season 2 he assumes even greater authority as Anatar. By the conclusion of The Rings of Power Season 2, he also has an army of Orcs, and Adar's demise is caused by Sauron's power to influence the Orcs. Despite their early resistance, Adar's errors bring the Orcs right up to Sauron. Just as Adar starts to realize his mistakes, he persuades them to turn against the Uruk they name father. Additionally, as Sauron's death is eerily similar to Adar's, the opening flashback of Season 2 deftly predicts the brutality of Adar's demise. The death of Sauron in the first episode of The Rings of Power Season 2 foreshadows the death of Adar in the finale. With Adar stabbing Sauron in the flashback and Sauron dealing Adar the last, deadly blow, their deaths are a mirror image of one another. Even the top-down camera position used to show each villain's demise is identical. The last images showing Adar's body in Sauron's original form are quite similar. Considering how much the characters' plots revolve around exposing one another, this was probably done on purpose. Most fans guessed that Adar would perish in the second adventure, and that Sauron would take his place as the primary antagonist of the Rings of Power in Season 3. Few, though, predicted that he would end up the same way as Sauron did in the first scene of Season 2. It is possible that this result was anticipated since it gives their encounter more symmetry. Adar's passing only serves to highlight Sauron's deliberate nature as a villain from The Lord of the Rings. The murders of Adar and Sauron in The Rings of Power Season 2 are too similar to be coincidences, and it's quite likely that Sauron deliberately kills his opponent in this way. Given the amount of animosity that exists between these characters in Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, it seems unlikely that Sauron would not find it amusing to see Adar go through what he did. Charlie Vicker's portrayal of a petty villain in The Rings of Power has also demonstrated that he would undoubtedly attempt to kill his opponent in order to make a point. Although Sauron might have killed the Uruk in more sensible ways, he chooses to choose the strategy that would have killed him the most. To emphasize how much he wants to make Adar feel horrible about his loss, he even makes sure he delivers the last blow. All of this is consistent with how Sauron is portrayed in The Rings of Power, which makes him a more fascinating antagonist to follow.